in the heart of a blazing wildfire, where fear silenced courage, one man and a dog stood together, risking it all to save the voiceless. The quiet serenity of a Los Angeles suburb was shattered as chaos erupted overnight. A relentless wildfire, fueled by strong winds and dry terrain, consumed everything in its path. The once clear sky was now a sea of fiery orange, ash falling like snow and blanketing the neighborhood. The air was thick with smoke, choking anyone who dared to step outside. Sirens wailed, a constant reminder of the danger looming. Amidst the chaos, Keanu Reeves stood on his balcony, watching as his community struggled to evacuate. His rugged appearance, hiking boots, a leather jacket, and a scarf he used to shield his face from the smoke, was a stark contrast to the panic around him. Known for his humility and compassion, Keanu's heart ached as he saw families scrambling to save their loved ones. But it wasn't just the people he worried about. His thoughts drifted to the animals trapped in the wildfire's path. A faint noise broke through his thoughts. Turning toward the sound, he spotted a German shepherd, a strong, intelligent dog with a black and tan coat and expressive hazel eyes. The dog's collar jingled as it approached, its eyes locked on Keanu's. Something about the dog's urgency struck a chord within him. Keanu crouched down, extending a hand. "Hey, buddy, are you lost?" The dog, later known as Max, barked once and then turned, looking back as if to say, "Follow me." Keanu's instincts kicked in. Grabbing a backpack filled with water bottles and basic supplies, he decided to investigate. As he followed Max, the destruction became increasingly evident. Trees burned like torches, their embers raining down like fiery hail. Houses crumbled, their structures no match for the roaring flames. Keanu's mind raced with thoughts of the animals he might find, pets left behind in the haste of evacuation, wildlife with no means to escape. Max led Keanu to the local animal shelter, which was now in ruins. The faint cries of frightened animals reached Keanu's ears, spurring him into action. Max sniffed through the debris, his instincts guiding him to trapped creatures. Together, they began their mission to save as many as they could. The first rescue was a terrified cat, huddled beneath a fallen beam. Keanu carefully lifted the debris, while Max barked encouragingly. "You're safe now," Keanu whispered as he cradled the cat in his arms. Next came a pair of rabbits, their cage partially melted from the heat. Max gently nudged the cage with his nose, guiding Keanu's attention. The duo worked tirelessly, ignoring the heat and smoke that threatened to overwhelm them. At one point, Keanu used a fire extinguisher to clear a path, allowing Max to dash into a corner where puppies were trapped. Their teamwork was seamless, an unspoken bond forming as they risked their lives for the voiceless. As night fell, the flames cast eerie shadows, but Keanu and Max pressed on. With each animal they rescued, a small victory was won against the raging inferno. They loaded the animals into Keanu's car, now a makeshift ark, and drove them to a temporary shelter set up by volunteers. Exhausted but determined, Keanu looked at Max. "We're not done yet, buddy. There's more out there." Max wagged his tail, ready for the next mission. The temporary shelter buzzed with activity. Volunteers rushed to tend to the rescued animals, their hands moving swiftly to provide food, water, and medical attention. Keanu stood by Max, watching as the first wave of their mission found safety. But the wildfire raged on, and Keanu knew their work was far from over. "We've got reports of another neighborhood that hasn't been evacuated," a volunteer informed Keanu. The urgency in her voice was palpable. "There's a wildlife reserve near there, too." Keanu exchanged a look with Max. "Let's go." The road to the next neighborhood was treacherous. Flames licked the edges of the asphalt, and fallen trees blocked parts of the path. Keanu navigated carefully, the glow of the fire illuminating the way. Max sat alert in the passenger seat, his ears twitching at every sound. As they reached the outskirts, the devastation was evident. The neighborhood was eerily silent, save for the crackling of fire. Keanu stepped out of the car, his boots crunching against the charred ground. Max sniffed the air, his body tense with focus. Their first stop was a small house at the edge of the neighborhood. Inside, they found a golden retriever and a parrot, both terrified. The dog whimpered, its paws scorched from the heat. Keanu gently lifted it while Max barked softly at the parrot, coaxing it into its cage. Further into the neighborhood, they encountered more challenges. A collapsed roof trapped a family of raccoons in an attic. Keanu climbed through the debris, using a flashlight to guide his way. Max stayed below, barking directions as if he could sense where the animals were. When Keanu emerged with the raccoons in a makeshift carrier, Max's wagging tail was a welcome sight. The wildlife reserve was their final stop. The area was teeming with animals desperate for escape. Deer darted through the trees, and birds scattered in every direction. Keanu and Max focused on the smaller, more vulnerable creatures. A fawn, separated from its mother, lay trembling near a creek. Keanu approached slowly, his calm voice soothing the frightened animal. Max stood guard, his watchful eyes scanning for danger. As they worked, the fire grew closer. The heat was nearly unbearable, and the smoke made it difficult to see. Keanu's determination never wavered. "We can do this, Max," he said, his voice muffled by the scarf covering his face. With the truck filled to capacity, Keanu and Max made their way back to the temporary shelter. The journey was slow, the weight of their mission heavy but fulfilling. When they arrived, the volunteers cheered. The animals were safe, and Keanu and Max had become symbols of hope amidst the devastation. The wildfire had grown fiercer, its flames consuming acres of forest and residential areas. Keanu Reeves and Max stood on the edge of a neighborhood that now resembled a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The sky was a dark, smoky gray, and the air was filled with the acrid stench of burning wood. Embers floated like fireflies, creating an eerie glow amidst the destruction. Keanu adjusted the scarf, covering his face, and glanced at Max. The German shepherd's ears were perked, his body tense with readiness. Together, they prepared to face their most dangerous mission yet, venturing deeper into the heart of the wildfire to rescue a group of trapped animals reported by the local wildlife organization. Their journey began at a small farm on the outskirts of the affected zone. The barn, once a sturdy structure, now threatened to collapse under the weight of the fire. Inside, faint sounds of bleating could be heard. Keanu kicked the door open, revealing a group of goats huddled together in a corner. Their coats were singed, and their eyes reflected fear. "It's okay, guys," Keanu said, his voice calm despite the chaos around him. Max dashed inside, barking to guide the animals toward the exit. One goat, too weak to move, lay on its side. Keanu gently lifted it, cradling the trembling creature in his arms. The heat inside the barn was overwhelming. Beads of sweat mixed with soot on Keanu's face as he made his way out, Max leading the other goats to safety. Just as they exited, a portion of the roof collapsed, sending sparks flying. Keanu shielded the goat with his body, narrowly escaping the falling debris. Their next stop was a nearby forest, home to a variety of wildlife. The organization had received reports of animals trapped in burrows and nests. Keanu and Max moved cautiously, their every step accompanied by the crackling of burning underbrush. Max's keen nose led them to a family of foxes huddled in a hollow log. The mother fox growled protectively, but Max crouched low, wagging his tail to signal he meant no harm. Keanu used a calming voice as he carefully approached. "You're going to be okay," he murmured, gently coaxing the mother and her kits into a carrier. Deeper into the forest, they found an owl perched on a low branch, its wing injured. Keanu climbed the tree with practiced ease, cradling the bird in one hand as he descended. Max remained alert on the ground, scanning for any signs of danger. As they continued, the fire intensified, forcing them to navigate through smoke so thick it obscured the path ahead. Keanu used a wet cloth to cover Max's nose, ensuring the dog could breathe. Together, they rescued a family of possums, a porcupine, and a pair of deer caught in a makeshift fence. Just as they were about to head back, Keanu received a call from a volunteer about an abandoned kennel near the fire's epicenter. Without hesitation, they drove to the location. The kennel's exterior was charred, its fence partially melted. Inside, the desperate howls and whines of dogs echoed. Keanu kicked down the main gate and began freeing the dogs one by one. Max played a crucial role, herding the animals toward the exit. One dog, a small terrier, was trapped under a fallen beam. Keanu worked tirelessly to lift it, ignoring the searing heat. When he finally freed the dog, its grateful lick on his cheek brought a rare smile to his face. As they loaded the dogs into their truck, an explosion from a nearby propane tank rocked the area. Keanu and Max hit the ground instinctively, shielding the animals as debris rained down. "We're okay, buddy," Keanu assured Max, who stood protectively over a trembling pup. With the truck nearly full, Keanu and Max decided to make one final sweep. They came across a stable housing horses. The animals were frantic, their hooves pounding against the ground. Keanu used his calm demeanor to approach them, while Max barked commands to keep them in line. "Easy now," Keanu said, stroking the muzzle of a frightened mare. Working together, they led the horses to safety, using makeshift reins fashioned from ropes found in the stable. The last horse, a stallion with a deep scar on its flank, refused to move. Keanu approached slowly, his steady presence eventually calming the animal enough to guide it out. As Keanu and Max returned to the temporary shelter, they were met with cheers and applause. Volunteers rushed to unload the animals, their faces lighting up with gratitude. The rescued creatures were given immediate care, their once frightened eyes now reflecting hope. Keanu knelt beside Max, his hand resting on the dog's head. "We did good, buddy," he said softly. Max wagged his tail, his eyes shining with loyalty and pride. The wildfire continued to burn, but thanks to Keanu and Max, countless lives were saved. Their story became a beacon of hope, inspiring others to take action in the face of adversity. The fire showed no mercy as it continued its relentless march across the hills and valleys. Keanu Reeves and Max, now local heroes, prepared for what could be their most challenging rescue yet. The winds had shifted, spreading the blaze toward a densely populated suburban area, and time was running out to evacuate the remaining animals and people. Early that morning, Keanu received a frantic call from a firefighter named Elena. "We've got a situation," she said. "A wildlife sanctuary is directly in the fire's path. They've evacuated most of the animals, but a few are still trapped, and there's no one left to help." "We're on it," Keanu replied without hesitation. Max barked as if to echo his resolve. Equipped with their now signature gear, protective clothing, a first aid kit, and a sturdy carrier for smaller animals, they headed toward the sanctuary. The sky was an ominous shade of orange, and ash fell like snow, coating their truck in a thin gray layer as they drove. The sanctuary was a sprawling property with open enclosures and shaded pens. Smoke billowed across the area, obscuring visibility. As Keanu and Max arrived, they were greeted by a volunteer named Sarah, her face streaked with soot and tears. "We've got 3 animals left," she explained, her voice trembling. "A jaguar, a pair of macaws, and an elephant. They're in different sections, and the fire's closing in fast." Keanu nodded. "We'll split up. Max and I will handle the jaguar first." The jaguar, a sleek black feline named Shadow, was pacing nervously in its enclosure. Flames crackled nearby, and the air was thick with smoke. Keanu moved cautiously, using his calm demeanor to approach the frightened animal. "Easy, Shadow," he murmured. Max stayed close, his presence reassuring to both Keanu and the jaguar. After a tense moment, Shadow allowed Keanu to guide her into a transport cage. Together, they carried the cage to a waiting truck, the flames licking dangerously close to their path. The macaws were in an aviary that had partially collapsed under the weight of falling branches. Vibrant feathers peeked through the wreckage as the birds squawked in distress. Keanu climbed onto the rubble, using gentle motions to coax the birds toward him. One macaw, its wing injured, flapped frantically. Max barked softly, his tone almost soothing. "I've got you," Keanu said, carefully cradling the injured bird. He used a makeshift sling to secure the macaws before carrying them to safety. The sight of their vivid plumage against the smoky backdrop was both heartbreaking and hopeful. The elephant, a gentle giant named Bella, was trapped in a pen surrounded by flames. Her trumpeting cries echoed across the sanctuary, a desperate call for help. Keanu and Max approached slowly, mindful of Bella's distress. "We're here to help," Keanu said, his voice steady. Max barked encouragingly, and Bella's ears twitched in response. Keanu quickly assessed the situation and realized the only way to free Bella was to cut through the metal gate. Using a bolt cutter provided by Sarah, he worked with urgency while Max stood guard. As the gate finally gave way, Bella hesitated, her massive frame trembling with fear. Keanu extended a hand, his calm presence reassuring her. "Come on, Bella. You can do this," he urged, with Max's barks urging her on. Bella took tentative steps forward, eventually breaking into a run as they guided her to safety. The sight of the elephant silhouetted against the flames was a moment of triumph amid the chaos. As they completed the rescues, the fire intensified, forcing Keanu and Max to make a hasty retreat. Embers rained down, and the roar of the flames was deafening. Their truck, now filled with the rescued animals, barreled down a smoke-choked road. A fallen tree blocked their path, and Keanu knew they couldn't afford to stop. He grabbed an axe from the truck's bed and began chopping furiously. Max stayed alert, his sharp eyes scanning for any signs of danger. Just as Keanu cleared the path, a firestorm erupted nearby, sending a wave of heat toward them. He and Max barely managed to leap into the truck as the flames closed in. With a roar of the engine, they sped away, leaving the inferno behind. Back at the shelter, the rescued animals were met with cheers and tears of relief. Volunteers worked tirelessly to care for them, their gratitude toward Keanu and Max evident in every glance and word. Keanu knelt beside Max, his hand resting on the dog's soot-covered head. "We did it, buddy," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Max wagged his tail, his eyes reflecting both exhaustion and pride. The story of their bravery spread quickly, inspiring countless others to step forward and offer help. Keanu and Max's bond, forged in the crucible of danger, became a symbol of hope and resilience. The flames surged higher, devouring everything in their path with relentless ferocity. Keanu Reeves and Max had earned a brief reprieve after rescuing the animals from the sanctuary, but their mission was far from over. A new challenge loomed, a small mountain town trapped in the fire's trajectory. Time was running out, and Keanu knew this would be their greatest test yet. The call came just before dawn. The mayor of Clear Ridge, a remote mountain town, pleaded for assistance. "The fire's closing in fast," he said. "We've evacuated most of the people, but some are still trapped, and we have no way to get to them." Keanu glanced at Max, who seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. With no time to waste, they loaded their truck with supplies and headed toward the burning hills. The journey was treacherous, with fallen trees and shifting winds complicating their path. As they approached the town, the smoke thickened, reducing visibility to mere feet. Keanu gripped the wheel tightly, his eyes scanning the road for obstacles. Max sat alert in the passenger seat, his ears twitching at every sound. Clear Ridge was a picturesque town, now shrouded in a haze of smoke and ash. The streets were eerily silent, save for the distant crackle of flames. Keanu met with the remaining residents, a mix of elderly individuals, families with young children, and a group of volunteers trying to hold the fire at bay. "We have to move now," Keanu said, addressing the group. "The fire's closing in faster than expected. Everyone, grab what you can carry and head to the trucks." Max took on an unexpected role, guiding children and comforting frightened animals. His calm presence had a profound effect, easing the tension among the group. One elderly woman, clutching her cat, smiled through her tears as Max nudged her gently towards safety. As the evacuation began, word came that a group of children and teachers were still trapped in the town's elementary school. Keanu and Max didn't hesitate. They drove toward the school, navigating through smoke-filled streets and dodging falling debris. The school was an older building with wooden beams that had already begun to smolder. Keanu and Max burst through the doors, finding a group of children huddled in a classroom with their teacher. The fear in their eyes was palpable. "We're here to get you out," Keanu said, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. Max approached the children, his wagging tail and calm demeanor providing a much-needed sense of security. One by one, Keanu and Max escorted them to the truck, shielding them from falling embers. The last child, a young boy clutching a stuffed bear, hesitated. "It's okay," Keanu said, kneeling to meet his gaze. "Max and I won't leave without you." Reassured, the boy took Keanu's hand, and together they made their way to safety. As they prepared to leave the town, an urgent call came through. The local hospital still housed several patients who couldn't be moved easily. Keanu knew they couldn't abandon them. "We'll need to get creative," he told Max. At the hospital, Keanu coordinated with the staff to rig makeshift stretchers and wheelchairs. Max helped locate patients, his keen senses guiding them through the smoke-filled corridors. The scene was harrowing. Nurses shielding patients from falling debris, doctors working tirelessly despite the danger. One patient, an elderly man on oxygen, looked at Keanu with gratitude. "You're a good man," he said weakly. "Just doing what needs to be done," Keanu replied, his focus unwavering. With everyone accounted for, the convoy prepared to leave Clear Ridge. The fire was dangerously close, and the heat was almost unbearable. Keanu took the lead, driving the truck with Max by his side. The road was a gauntlet of flames, fallen trees, and choking smoke. At one point, the convoy came to a halt as a massive tree blocked the path. Keanu and a group of volunteers worked furiously to clear the way. Max, ever vigilant, barked a warning as embers rained down. "We're almost there," Keanu shouted, his voice hoarse from the smoke. With the path cleared, the convoy surged forward, finally breaking through to safety. The sight of the open highway, free from smoke and fire, was a moment of profound relief. As they reached the evacuation center, cheers erupted from the crowd. Families reunited, and tears flowed freely. Keanu and Max were swarmed by grateful residents, their thanks overwhelming. One child, the boy with the stuffed bear, hugged Keanu tightly. "Thank you for saving us," he said softly. Keanu looked down at Max, who wagged his tail as if to say, "We did it together." The story of Clear Ridge's rescue spread far and wide, cementing Keanu and Max's status as symbols of hope and resilience. Donations poured in for wildfire relief, and volunteer efforts surged across the region. Keanu, ever humble, deflected praise. "It's about doing what's right," he said in an interview. "Max and I were just one part of a bigger effort." As they returned home, Keanu and Max shared a quiet moment, watching the sunrise over the hills. The fire was out, but their mission continued, to inspire others to stand up in the face of adversity. Thank you for watching this incredible story of bravery and compassion. If this video touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories like this one. Your support helps us continue to bring you powerful tales of hope and inspiration. And don't go anywhere. Our next story is one you won't want to miss. A courageous tale from the Los Angeles wildfires that will leave you speechless. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video.